Happy Monday, second graders. This is Mrs. Russell again, here to work with you on Number Corner. Hope you all had a great weekend. Let's start by looking at our brand new calendar grid observation chart. The first column, or this chart, is going to help us keep track of where Joey hops on the 1000 grid and the moves he makes to get from one number to the next. So let's look at the first column. The first column is for our date. So for catching up from Friday, I put 5-1, which was Friday's calendar marker. The next one is where Joey starts, and because he was not on a number to start, we're going to leave that column blank. The second column are the moves that Joey takes. Now we had to figure out which moves he took. On the calendar marker from Friday, it didn't tell us, so we're going to also leave that one blank. The fourth column is our equation column. That's the equation or the numbers that Joey moves on the number grid. So if we go back to the first card, and I'll zoom in, we had the equation of 200 plus 60. So we will type that here, 200 plus 60. And Joey landed at 260. So that was our end number, 260. So now we'll take a look and we will move on to card 2 and catch up from the weekend. But I wanted to let you know that the next day's start number is always going to be where Joey landed. That way we can tell where he should start to try to figure out what square we're going to color in next. Now remember, if you printed the worksheet to follow along with us, you're going to want to get that ready before we get to the coloring part. So let's start to fill in from Saturday's marker. So if we go back to our calendar, we see it is May 2nd. Let's flip that one over. And we will fill in 5-2. And Joey's going to be starting at 260 because that's where he landed on Friday. So now if we look at card 2, we can see that this one has arrows for where Joey is going to be moving on the thousands grid. So each vertical arrow, which is an arrow that either goes up or down, indicates moving one row on the thousands grid up or down. What happens when you start at, let's take 260 for a number. What happens when we move up one row? Because that's what our card is showing. What happens when we move up one row? So we landed at 160. What's happening when we move up a row on the thousands grid? If you said the number is subtracting by 100, you are correct. What happens if we go down one row? If we move down one row on the thousands grid, we are adding 100. The number is getting bigger. So let's take a look at Joey's movements on calendar marker 2. It looks like he's going to move up 2 rows. So starting at the number from Friday, 260, we're going to move up 2 rows. 1, 2. Then it says he's going to jump to the left 3 times. And what's happening when we're going to the left or to the right? What's happening to that number? Well, if we go to the left, I notice the number's getting smaller. And from 60 to 50 is how many less? If you said 10, you're correct. So we have to take 3 jumps to the left. So 60, 1, 2, 3 jumps lets us land at 30. Now let's take a look and see what those equations would look like, because one of the things on our observation chart is to fill in the equations. So let's see what equation that might be. Joey started at 260 and he went up 1 row, which is, we remember, saying minus 100. That puts him at 160. Then from 160, he had to go up another row or back 100, and he landed at 60. From 60, we had to do an arrow left, which meant he was going to go back 10, and we landed at 50. And then from 50, we had to do another backwards or to the left of 10, and that put us at 40. And then one more arrow to the left, starting at 40. Let Joey land at 30. But now we have to decide how many he went back. So we have to figure out an equation. We started at 260. But how many jumps back did he take to land at 30? Right now we said he's at 30. So we have to figure out what number goes in here. And one of the ways we can do that is to add up all of the numbers that we took away from 260. So I see a 100 up here, and we're going to add these together. I see another 100, and then I see 3 10s. 10 plus 10, whoop, plus 10. Now I'll move that over here so we can see it a little bit better, maybe even down here. So 100 plus 100 plus 10, ooh, that's perfect, plus 10 plus 10. What does that equal? Give you some time to think about that. Well, I know 100 plus 100 is 200, and 3 10s, 10, 20, 30, 200 plus 30 is 230. So he went back 230 on the thousands grid. So now let's take that information, I'm going to highlight that there, and we're going to put that right into our equation chart. A little bit big there, we'll make that smaller so we can see. So 260 minus the 230 equals 30. So our end mark is 30. Now the moves category is the arrows. So we know he went up 2 rows, and then to the left 3 times, 3 jumps. So our last thing today, or to fill in for Saturday, is to go back to our hidden picture. And remember, if you printed that, please have that ready so you can fill in with us. But Joey, just again to show you, hopped up 2 rows, 1, 2, and then to the left he hopped 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and today he landed at 30. And we're going to color that purple because today's calendar marker is all purple. So go ahead, pause the video, find a purple crayon or marker, and color in 30 with purple. And then we have 2 more days to catch up on. We have Sunday and today's card. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip both of those right now. So we're going to take a look at both at the same time. Let's go back to our presentation and look at card 3 a little more closely. So card 3 shows Joey the kangaroo going down 1 row. So starting at 30, going down 1 row, and to the right 1. So he lands on card 3 at 140, and you are going to color that in yellow because the whole card is yellow for card 3. So go ahead and pause the video, find a yellow, and color in 140. Now we're going to go back, and before we forget, fill in our observation chart for that card. So card 3, we started at the number 30, and the hops that Joey took were down a row and then to the right. So down and then to the right. And so if we started at 30, what's happening when we go down a row? So let's go back. We went down. Are we adding or subtracting? If you said adding 100, you are correct. So we added 100, and then we went to the right, which is adding or subtracting 10. If you said adding 10, you are correct. The number got bigger. So we had to add 100 and then add 10. So to 30, what is 100 plus 10? 100 plus 10. If you said 110, you would be correct. And we know that placed Joey at square 140. So that is our end number for card 3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at card 4, which is today's card, May 4th. So today's card, let's take a look. Now this card looks a lot different than the other cards we've been seeing. This card doesn't have words. It doesn't have any arrows. It actually has a piece from our thousands grid. So we have to look. Yesterday he landed at 140. We have to figure out how does he get to the next square over. Looks like he just jumped 1 to the right. What is happening to the number if he moves 1 to the right? Well, we know he would land at 150, but how many more is that? 140 plus what would get us to 150? 140 plus 10 makes 150. Good. So now if you look for coloring today, we're going to have to color this square half, and you want to color in the exact same half as shown on the card. So if you do that, it should look like this. Half of the square for 150 is colored diagonally. So go ahead and pause the video again and get that colored in. We're going to wrap up with filling in our observation chart as soon as you're finished. All right, so let's take a look and go back to our observation chart to get that filled in. Card 4 was the 4th of May, that's today, Monday, May 4th. Joey the kangaroo, starting from Sunday's card, was at 140. We know he had to take 1 hop to the right, so I'm going to put in 1 arrow to the right. Now we have to think of an equation, and go ahead and write this down and see if you can figure it out first for yourself. But what would be our equation for today? What could we fill in our observation grid? Joey started at 140. He moved 1 space to the right. Where is he now? All right, let's see what you put. So he started at 140, and he just took 1 jump to the square next to that. But the number got bigger, so we're going to add. And when we go horizontally on the number grid, we are moving by tens. And because he moved to the right, we're adding 10. And that landed him at 150. So that is our end number. So tomorrow when we look at the card, we will begin at square 150. So that's all for today. So hope that you guys have a good rest of your afternoon, and I'll be with you again tomorrow for Number Corner. Bye!